Stop me if you've heard this one. A 2-year-old U.S. citizen ends up on an ICE plane deported to Honduras. Do I have your attention now? That really happened under the Trump administration. So he's not just trying to put U.S. citizen criminals in foreign gulags without due process. He's not just violating court orders and sending people to countries they're not supposed to be sent to under constitutional precepts. He's not just doing that. He's not just disobeying the United States Supreme Court. We've now reached the level of when we're not arresting state court judges for doing their job and the rule of law, we're taking 2-year-olds who are U.S. citizens with Louisiana birth certificates. Last time I looked, that was in the United States, and sending them to Honduras. Even a federal judge who's bright red MAGA in Terry Doughty didn't think that was a good idea. And we break it down for you on Legal AF appropriately, the After Dark edition. Here's a clip.
Also, you have U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty, a Trump-appointed judge.
Yeah, don't gloss over that one.
Trump, let's do that one. Judge Terry Doughty, Trump-appointed judge, Louisiana. He called out Trump in the most harsh of terms, saying, I don't believe you. I think you just deported a U.S. citizen, multiple 2-year-old, a 2-year-old U.S. citizen to Honduras, while the 2-year-old's dad had been petitioning, invoking habeas petitions, and just any petition. My son's an American citizen. So the mom was a migrant. The dad is a citizen. The son is a citizen. And what the Trump regime is lying about is when they cruelly deported the mom, they deported the son with the mom, I think not realizing that the son had a dad who's an American citizen or realizing it and wanted to torture this family. And the Trump appointed judge says, what the hell did you do? And now you're in my court lying. And so I'll talk about that, Popok, but be careful what you wish for here, because the Trump regime tried to stop Boasberg from doing the class action type of stuff with all of these, migrants in one case. So the result is not a win, as you and I told the Legal AF first. The result was, even though the Trump regime was spiking the football like they won something from Boasberg,
the 10-yard line.
now you have cases being filed by these renowned immigration groups and the ACLU 100 times a day in 50 states. And the Trump regime DOJ, led by Pam Bondi, the idiot crew, can't keep up with this stuff.
Full court press.
It would have been better for them to have it as a class action in one case and litigate the issues once. They don't think ahead.
Up to the Supreme Court. You're right. There's nothing here. So Terry Doughty, though, I want to focus on him for a minute. He's not just any Trump-appointed judge. He is so MAGA that he was, besides Judge Kaczmarek in Texas, Terry Doughty was the judge that MAGA and Trump and others filed purposely in his Western District of Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana courtroom in order to get him, in order to tie down Joe Biden and his policies. You know, he came out against COVID and the commander-in-chief policies, all sorts of things that he was the go-to. It's like 3 of them, go-to federal judges. But now you have to bring him this terrible case with terrible facts of a 2-year-old U.S. citizen holding a born in New Orleans birth certificate, whose mother apparently, she said in the hearing, I don't know if you caught this one, Ben, they said, the immigration officer said, well, the mother wrote a note in Spanish and said she wanted the kid deported. And he's like, how do I know that? How do I get her on the phone? Oh, well, we released her from ICE custody. She's now somewhere in Honduras. And he's like, are you kidding me? And, you know, of course, he couldn't help himself. At one point during the hearing, he said, the plane is over the Gulf of America. Yeah, the plane is over the Gulf of America, Judge. And they just deported because of the brain drain that we've now watched. And you and I are going to do a couple of stories here in a row on this podcast about what did they think was going to happen when they hollowed out the Department of Justice and career veteran, the starters, keep a baseball or sports analogy going, the starters all left, and now the scrubs are underpaid, overworked. They can't handle all of these cases. The elite all left. The career independent prosecutors have all left the various offices, Solicitor General, Department of Justice, Main Justice, in the offices of the U.S. Attorney's offices around the country, leaving this group behind, led, as you said, by a dimwit and an Attorney General and Pam Bondi. I mean, the more she speaks, she should speak less. The more she speaks, the less confidence I think anybody can have in her abilities. She already got, by the way, on that note, she already got chastised by a federal judge in New York who told her to shut up about it was Luigi Mangione, about going after him in the media, because all you're doing is violating ethics laws and polluting his ability to pick a jury. So this is our Attorney General. People used to complain that Merrick Garland didn't talk enough, and now we got this. She talks too much. So Terry Doughty says, all the stuff you're telling me about this 2-year-old U.S. citizen with a U.S. father and a mother who you deported is all hearsay. I need the evidence. So I'm going to hold a hearing on the 16th of May. And by that time, you better get your act together about what just happened to the deported 2-year-old U.S. citizen. Now, to answer the question from the chats, because I've seen it started while we've been doing this, she is he or she, you said it was a son, maybe it's a son. The 2-year-old has rights that could be exercised, hopefully by a guardian, to come back to the United States because they are a U.S. citizen. So there may be a family law dispute going on here on child custody, sort of like Elian Gonzalez 25 years ago in Miami. I don't know. But in any event, without due process, and the judge says, I have a strong suspicion, this was his words, that this child got deported as a U.S. citizen without any due process whatsoever. I mean, it's very hard to interview a 2-year-old, so you appoint a custodian or a guardian who represents the child's interests and reports back to the judge as an officer of the court. But none of that was done. This, again, is the series of screw-ups. Welcome back. You know it. It's like a mantra. Wednesdays, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on this YouTube channel for MeidasTouch. You can catch the live recording or pick up the video version of our Legal AF podcast. We sit at the intersection of law and politics, so you don't have to. And the other way you can help the channel and this podcast grow, we're top 13 in the world because of you, but there's a whole bunch of bro podcasts and Tucker Carlson's between us and the Brothers podcast at number 1. We want to join them on the podium. Watch us here on YouTube. Listen to us on audio podcast platforms of your choice. If you know about Legal AF, the podcast, take that clip and send it off to people in your life and help us grow this organically. If you don't know about it, personal invitation, Michael Popok, to you. And also help us build the Legal AF YouTube channel that I curate in collaboration with the brothers. So until my next hot take, my next podcast, this is Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of MeidasTouch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.